Hey guys, and welcome to this week's Stalker of the Week, which is the Hermit. If you're new here and you do not know what Stalker of the Week is, or you just would like to be reminded, it's a collective reading I do on a particular energy that has kept showing up for all the signs, and I then take out that energy and do a little bit of an interview with it. It's basically an almost personal, where we look deeper into some aspect of an energy. In this case is the Hermit. As always, take what resonates with, leave behind the rest, never ever force it to fit if it doesn't. And again, as always, I hope you're doing amazing. I really do. And if you do like this content, please like the video. I would appreciate your support. Let's get to it. I already laid out the cards and I have the context. It's all ready to go here. You know what I get first and foremost from this Hermit? When I look at the context of this, it's you being on a journey. You're standing here ready to jump into something. You have a world of opportunities before you, whether you know it or not, but you do. It's about expansion. It's about having completed one step of a journey here, gained a lot of experiences, and now you are ready for the next. But the thing is that when we go through this journey of life, when we go through, let's just call it the journey of life, the experiences that we make, some of them are amazing, some of them are good, and some of them are not so good, and some of them are downright traumatic for some people, right? Each of them are within us, right? All of our experiences are within us. They are in our body memory. So what happens is that sometimes if we have negative experiences in our past and we allow them to take on to a dominant function in our life, we can look into the future in ways where we are actually a little bit anxious. We are kind of predicting failure based upon negative experiences in the past. And then that's where we get this stressing out about something, right? Sometimes even starting to see things that are not really there. We kind of project negativity from the past onto the future, and that's how we live our present moment. What may be beneficial in those situations is to scan the situation. And by that I mean take a step back, as the Hermit here. Take a step back and then scan what is actually going on in your environment. Pay attention to what is there, and then scan yourself. What is going on within you? How are you responding to that? Can you see can you feel any associations to the past? How is it playing out here? And be mindful of whether or not any response that you may be throwing out there is appropriate, or is it a repetition of what happened in the past. Let's give an example, like a practical example. Let's use a love example, right? A relationship example. Let's make one of the negative. I'm going to take an example that is highly negative. Let's say one of an abusive relationship. Let's take one of the emotional abuse, right? Because those are very complex. Emotional abuse or neglect or whatever is just something where you throughout a prolonged period of time were subjected to experiences where your emotional needs, intellectual needs, your physical needs, whatever needs you had, they were neglected. Worst cases, consciously manipulated or like literally abused, right? But there was just a bad experience. They had an effect on you, right? Could have resulted in these cases, it can result in trust issues. Which then can result in not wanting to jump into some sort of a new experience because you want to protect yourself from not experiencing that again. Become avoidant, basically. As an example, there are other responses to it. It can be becoming, you can become a battlesome person. We could say like that. You can end up jumping into the conflict, seeking out the conflict, reliving it again. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that. It's just, let's go with the avoidant here, right? Running away from it, not wanting to take the chance and jump into a new experience because that would just repeat itself. The thing is that we are talking here about with an emotional experience, right? What makes this situation difficult to deal with is that you don't have a visual image to attach to the bad memory, right? We can relate this to, like, say, post-traumatic stress, where we have a post-traumatic stress that relates to, like, as I know, and I'm not an expert, let's say a car accident where you know exactly what triggers or what will trigger you if you are faced with faced with a car, right? You have been in a car accident, now you are in the traffic and you start feeling all these whatever you feel, panics, whatever. Let us say you panic, you start breathing and you want to run away from it. You are in the process of them doing this scanning technique. You can stop, you can scan, you can look at what is around. You can look for the visual image, basically, and saying, this is a car. I am triggered right now. These responses I am is associated with the car. And then start working whatever strategies you are placed in. But when you have something that is a bit more complex, where you don't have that visual, like, let's say you've been subjected to a prolonged long period of time where you had these repeated experiences and they were playing out in different situations, and you didn't really know what it was either, right? Then the situation is more difficult to deal with. And this is actually a case for many people, because I don't believe that science we're aware of this for many years. It's something new. In the worst cases, you can look up, it's called complex post-traumatic stress. That is for the severe cases, right? But maybe you can learn something from it. But principle is that it's difficult to recognize what is actually triggering you. And then that can make it difficult or challenging to then jump into these new experiences, because it's here for you, right? I think the message with the Hermit here is about being mindful of it. So if you are faced with a situation where similar energy may come towards you, it's not the same, but it may feel similar, that you don't have a repeated reaction to it. But at the same time, also be very kind to yourself and forgiving of yourself. If this is something if this is a journey you're just starting to, right? So you don't have too high expectations of yourself, believing that you should be perfect the first time you are faced with it, right? I mean, there's something about this perfection. What is perfection? I don't know. I keep getting perfection in this, and that is something that's a little bit difficult for me to dive into, because the perfection is strange to me, and because it's strange, that means everything it's basic. It's weird. When things are weird, it's because it's weird to me, because I don't understand it, and that because I'm the most important thing in the world here, that everything is weird because it has to be normal to me. No. Sorry guys, bad humor there. It just means I gotta work harder for it, right? To dive into it and try and understand it and try and articulate it in ways that's somewhat coherent. The perfection. It depends on whether or not this idea of perfection comes from what other people are expecting, and then you may have made that your expectations to yourself. Perfection can be very, very stressful. The idea that you have to be perfect, especially if you do not have, especially if you have not participated in setting the standards for what that perfection is, right? Meaning, let's say that the idea of being a perfect boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife is set by someone else, and you have to live up to that role. And that person then is not meeting you at your level, and they have set the standard too high, and you cannot live up to that. That's basically a burnout there, right? But I'm not seeing that being the case here. But let's say that you have experienced that in the past, and then now you meet someone new, And because the person you are meeting, the new person here, is in the same, did I say same position, they are also the partner, the possible partner, someone you should, yeah, let's say the romance here, the new partner here, like the other person who had those high expectations to you, where you were always failing, so to say. This person, however, has this more mature, flexible way, so you can actually, you can work together, right? They're not these, it's not the same pressure on you. But because there was in the past, you may be projecting that same expectations to, your expectations to how this new person is based upon how you remember the other person was. You know, it's a difficult thing to deal with, but it can be done. It can be done through mindfulness. That is what mindfulness is, isn't it? I mean, I've seen people sit there, they go, da da da, mindful. No, mindfulness is being present, being mindful of your environment, being mindful of how you, of yourself, how you are responding and relating to whatever is going on in your environment. Mindfulness is difficult. It takes a lot of work. It takes wisdom, guys. It takes wisdom. Now, what we have here that you may not be aware of is this conflict here. Five of Swords, Seven of Cups, and the Four of Cups. We do some clarification here. But I can tell you that you're getting a wish fulfillment coming your way. Challenge is, however, it's going to come out of nowhere. It's going to shock you, probably. Now, show me this Five of Swords in the recent past. Five of Swords clarified by the Five of Swords. Great. Clarified by the Three of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups. Seven of Pentacles. Why did I get weirdly silly there? Sometimes I do. Right. This burdensome thing that you're carrying around here from the past. Your strength will be that you have this more nostalgic attitude to it, like that of, well, it happened because it happened, and it got you stronger, and all of that. That's a great approach to have to it. Because I am seeing someone here walking away from some sort of a contract or teamwork where there could have been happiness, but walking away from it. Because there was a dishonesty here. But see here, that's the beauty of it. Here's the beauty of it. There's something amazing coming your way that you don't see, and you're in your head about it because you don't see it clearly. But you are looking at the past, and you are actually doing everything you can to learn from it, because here's the thing, there's something amazing coming towards you. Yeah, you just don't know it. You are in the darkness about it. Yes, you are. Something to celebrate. Show me this Nine of Swords in the present moment. Seven of Wands. The Hierophant. Three of Swords. Show me, oh sorry, okay, show me the Seven of Cups down here. This is so interesting. See that I have two modes. Either I go, this is weird, or this is so interesting. They both cover the same thing in that I don't understand it. So, alright, so with up here, this Nine of Swords, there's something about being... Oh, this is a battle within yourself, I get. Should you be vulnerable? Do you dare to be vulnerable? For some of you, it's, by the way, also a family situation. Yeah, being vulnerable to your family, being vulnerable, feeling safe enough to show your true colors. That is being vulnerable, right? Showing your true colors without being hurt. It's predicting this hurt here. Wow, this is like there's a new cycle. You closed out a cycle. I have repeated this so many times, right? But this is like it's the last drop. It's just the last drop that gotta go here before it's finally fully closed, right? It has to do with your self-worth. It's like it's the last, like, you know, having walked up a long staircase. It's the last step. It's the last step when you are so, you know, just the last step, and yes, you're there. And you can absolutely handle it because you've been through all the worst. It's just a little bit worried here about being probably rejected here. What you don't see, the thing is, you don't see this coming towards you. There's a lot of stability coming towards you. You put in the bloody work. You put in the work, and now it's coming. It's not because it's falling into your lap. You've done the work. Sweethearts. It must have been a very tough journey to leave you like this, right? Yeah, there's a beautiful offer coming your way. You will be working more again here, but it's a different. Show me this world up here. The world's clarified by the Nine of Cups, the World, and the Knight of Pentacles, Ten of Swords. It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing of getting your wish fulfillment, having the world of opportunities waiting for you. Be patient with yourself. Is what's happening here, because it's about not jumping into it too quickly. Not to say it's not about, you know, don't jump into it, don't take a chance. That's it's actually the opposite of that. Is take the bloody chance. Dare to jump out of your comfort zone. The thing, because you will actually get a good wish fulfillment, most likely. Sorry, my dog got distracted. I got distracted because people are working outside, and that's good. Yeah, so yeah, it's about jumping into it. Take the risk. It will pay off, but the way you jump into it, do it in a way where you are also, you work, I want to say methodically. You work, yeah, methodically, like with the example of that technique of scanning yourself. That's like a methodical approach, isn't it? Is having a technique you use when faced with probably unpleasant energy. So you can, yeah, a memory, you can use that technique. That's having a method. And then take it slow. Work hard. And be okay with it being boring at times. You know, this is like, I got this throwback from my own experience, like learning the hard way of, it's not exactly beneficial to do study, do these all-nighter studies. Do the work. Have a method when you do your studies, for instance, and be okay with that. It takes time to learn something, right? It takes time to learn something. If you do the groundwork, which shows up as though you have, if you've done the groundwork, because what takes the longest is actually doing. Is the planning, it's the getting the basic skills in order. When you have that in order, you will find that it's actually easier to learn the additional material. But if you jump over the basics, you can expect it's going to be difficult to learn the more complex stuff because you don't have the basics in order. That's a little lesson from school there. But it's actually very, very important, because I have witnessed people come out and they don't know what they took. They may have very high grades, but then when you throw them into real life, they don't know what they're talking about because they copied the book. Basically, I don't know. I'm not gonna be an expert on that. I'm a bit of a different school. I used my education as a laboratory. Took a lot of chances there because I knew. I worked and then went back to school, worked back to school, and I know the difference. School is where it's easier to fuck up when you're in the laboratory there in the school than it is to do in the real world. Rather fuck up there. You fuck up in the testing environment, let's say like that. You test things before you deploy it to have it fuck up there, because I mean, yeah, it's no bulletproof solution in most cases, right? For when you then deploy or you place things into the world. I'm talking coding here, basically. But if you've done the test, you can sort of predict. You can have a better understanding of then how to deal with it. Anyway, let's get to it. Did we do the world? Well, you know what the world comes with. It comes with the Ace of Rods. That's what's coming to you. You're basically going where you feel at home. You're going into something great. Show me the Ace of Wands. Clarified by the Eight of Cups. Chariot. The Judgment. Empress. A darling. Darling. You're walking away from this situation here. These memories here. But they, as I said, they are always going to be with you. But you know what? Powerful move here. You're not going to let it dictate you. The past will not dictate you. You are strong. I can sense that. You accept it. You have it within you. You're making that judgment call here. Getting a new beginning. You are also, by the way, being probably even offered some sort of a new beginning here. Or something that feels destined to you. It feels like you're going to go home. But to get there, to jump over there and accept this thing here, you gotta disconnect emotionally from the negativity, I want to say, from the the negative mindset of the past. It's basically, accepting whatever happened and looking back at it in a way that, even if it's not positive, but looking at it in a way of saying, all right, maybe you learned something from it. It made you stronger. Whatever you decide to tell yourself, that is not solely negative, right? I believe that we can turn it negative if we shift too much attention onto what the other, example here with love, right? What the other person did. It's always about the other person, as opposed to shifting the attention onto yourself and saying, what did I learn from it? Then you can shift the narrative here. And you will actually eventually find that you grew from an experience where you placed too much emphasis on the insignificant action of someone you probably wasn't really that important at the current moment, right? Back then they were probably very important, but you will grow from it, because the lesson here is not to be thrown out of it by the insignificant action of others. Not to be afraid. But also not to just forget it and bury it down and pretend it never happened. Oh, the joys of life, isn't it? Let's see here. Four of Cups. Why do we have this Four of Cups? It's an interesting one, the Four of Cups. Hermit. Four of Swords. And Nine of Wands. Yes, and for some of you, all right, it shows up, right? For some of you, that you may experience that something here will come back your way. All right, let me go two directions. Let's start by the typical one, where we have someone here that comes your way after having left you, and then they want to reconcile, and I don't know, you may consider it, and then you may say no. Or you're definitely going to think about it, let's say like that. You will think about it because that cycle has sort of closed for you. But that doesn't mean you can't move forward. Like it's like you have to leave the situation completely. It may mean that you will not continue with it the way that it was before. It's in a new way, right? Let's say, to give an example of the reconciliation. Let's say that you separated ways. Then someone here comes back and they want to reconcile, right? There are two ways of reconciling. There's the let's hook up and pretend nothing happened, let's go back to the way things were, or there's the opportunity of saying we gotta sit down here and figure and talk seriously about why this happened in the first place. Why did we have why did we reach, or how did we reach to the stage where we had to separate? Because if we don't learn from that, we're gonna repeat the same mistake. We gotta learn from the past. Not be afraid of jumping into the future, or basically living in the bloody present. I mean, if you're afraid of the future, you're living in anxiety in the present. If you are constantly sad about the past, you're living in depression in the present moment, right? Exaggerated, of course. But we gotta... Let's go back here. It's basic. We gotta live in the present. And if you wanna reconcile with someone... Alright, I think I got off track there. Let me start again, sorry. Let's get back to the reconciliation there. Yeah, you sit down and you talk about it. You bring it into the light. That's also how you realize you can figure out if someone is actually serious about this. If they thought about it. If they take responsibility for it. If they show a dedication to wanting to make it work. Right? If they actually show a dedication to redeem themselves, and it's not just work. They also got to show with action. That's the thing. One thing is what they say, another thing is what they do. If that's the case here, if that's a reconciliation, I see you taking your time and not really trusting it. Because it was heavy in the past. And especially if we're talking about a person who have come back again and again and they never really stayed. I'm seeing you being a little... For those of you, it's not this reconciliation where we are then talking about, then you're jumping into something new, you're taking the chance. This is then the Hermit here, is just a technique, a representation of the technique of remembering to set, to scan yourself, scan the environment, take a pause. So set up those boundaries so you can recognize, all right, when am I taking in too much? When am I too much? I know it may not be the most pleasant thing to say, but when are you floating into your environment, and when you're taking too much in, and then remember to set up the boundaries, right? And that's the same energy that plays out when in the past, you may have an over response to a situation because of what happened in the past, right? Then set up the boundaries, being all right. Right now, the reason, all right, I can see some similarities, but it's not the same situation. I went over that before, right? That's what the Hermit is then a representation of. It is basically just as, contemplating energy here. But the thing is, I'm not really picking up on love being the most important thing for you guys right now. Now it seems as though it's like romantic love. Right now it seems as though it's about finding that place that you can call home. And that's where you're going. The place where you can feel home. Someone may want to come to your home here, feel home with you, and you may be taking a step back and wanting to think about that. 28 minutes in, that's it. We are gonna say that this is it. Yes, that's it. I just said that. Bear with me, alright? So, take care, guys. I hope you got anything from it. Let me know. Ciao.